Hello, this is Rabbi Shmuel Pollan. I want to thank you for coming back to the Light Unto the Nations show. We have a very interesting and fun and yet serious video for you today. It's going to be about a movie and an actress, and that's always exciting. And this movie is called The Client List, which I just finished watching. It stars Jennifer Love Hewitt, who is the mainstay, who is the biggest character in the movie. And I'm here to tell you that it is a satanic movie, and we'll explain what satanic means. And Jennifer doesn't know that. She's just the actor, she's just the pawn. But it is a satanic movie. The co stars don't know it, but the writers and the producers do know it. They actually are worshipers of Satan, and or at least the people above them, and they make these movies satanically, and they're trying to have a certain influence on you, and we need to wake up, realize what's going on, and stop this influence from influencing us anymore because it's destroying our lives. Jennifer Love Hewitt starts out as a beautiful, happy woman who has total recall. She's actually very, very smart and very, very persuasive. She's a genius. So she has an amazing body and an amazing mind. She is going places. She can do anything. And the problem is she and her husband became broke. I guess he lost his job or she lost her job, but there was no money coming in and they couldn't even afford gas. Their card for the gas was declined. This was a low point in their lives. She says, I have to do something. I have to get a job. I have to step up to the plate. So she looks for ads, and the ads say there's a position available at a masseuse parlor. And this is where Satan steps in. When you're weak in your faith, when you're down, Satan steps in with his solution. He doesn't go right for the sin. He goes to it in stages. He leads you into it. First, it's the ad. Then it's a meeting with the parlor. Then it's watching a girl do what they do in that parlor, which is actually prostitution. It's a prostitution ring, not a masseuse parlor. She watches as this girl has sex with a complete stranger who is as scummy as he may be. But she has to do it because that's her job. And she has to pretend like she enjoys it. There are often ministers of the Christian church that were also Johns, that were also looking for sex from these women. And after the initial horror of realizing what this masseuse parlor actually is, she decides to take the job and even learns to like it. So Satan makes sin enjoyable. The now is always enjoyable when it comes to Satan. To keep up with the tremendous amount of men she is sleeping with, which is sickening, she takes cocaine as well. Cocaine gives you that high that can keep you up day and night, so she can handle both all the sex she's having and the time she spends with the kids. Satan has a slippery slope, and it quickly leads you from prostitution to cocaine, and that cocaine can lead to addiction, and that can ruin your entire life. And we'll see that the prostitution itself ruins her entire life. So they're depicting a satanic program right in front of you. The way he comes on slowly, the way he wants you to indulge in the now and forget about the later, forget about the big picture. And he starts to ruin your life slowly and slowly and slowly, more and more and more. She winds up in jail. She winds up losing her husband. She winds up losing her kids. But Satan's motto is indulge in today and give up the forever. And you end up depressed or in jail. God's view, God's way is sacrifice. Like God asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. That was because God comes first, even before family. Because if you don't have God, you won't know how to treat your family. You won't be able to have a family. God actually comes first. God is number one. So she has eternal shame when everybody finds out about it. She will never be able to live that down. She will always know that she slept with hundreds of strange men, and completely abandoning all morals she was taught as a kid, completely abandoning all morals that exist in the Bible and completely abandoning who she really is. Because Satan doesn't take you to where you really are, to who you really are. He takes you away from that and makes you into some kind of monster, makes you do things that you really don't want to do. Once you get in the slippery slope, you lose control and you start going to places that you don't want to go. You lose your free choice. That's what happens with Satan. Her husband will have to deal with that now, knowing that she's slept with so many men, that when he sleeps with her, he's sleeping with a woman that has slept with hundreds of other men. He can never be truly happy now, even though in the end he starts to slowly come back to her. But he will always feel guilty. She will always feel guilty. The media destroys her reputation. It makes national news. Her reputation is completely ruined. She lost her kids, lost her husband, and she has to spend 30 days in jail. And I've spent a day in jail, and I can tell you 30 days would not be fun at all. There's an unrealistic ending, which is part of the satanic ploy here, that she gets forgiveness from everyone. She gets forgiveness from the wives whose husbands she was intimate with. They even come to her for tips on how to treat their husband. That's very unrealistic. The women whose wives, whose husbands slept with her, would not have anything good to say about her and would certainly not come to her for tips. And the jail sentence could be, in many cases, a lot more than 30 days. We have to keep that in mind as well. So it's an unrealistic ending, but it's a perfect satanic ending. It's saying if you follow sin, if you follow the deepest, darkest part of your heart, it will end up well for you. That's what he tells you. It will end up well for you, but it does not. In reality, it never does. It never works. It always leads to addiction. It always leads to bad behaviors. It always leads to a loss of control. It always leads to anxiety and depression. It always ends badly unless you go God's way, which is to do a sacrifice in this moment, to sacrifice eating that cake, to sacrifice what it takes to get yourself to go to church, to sacrifice, to have gratitude, to humble yourself enough to have gratitude for every breath, for everything you can hear, for everything in your eyes, because I had problems with my eyes and I was basically blind for some time. And when I got out of it, I was so grateful for every single thing that I could see. And then when it happened, when I was going on for a while, I started to forget about it. I started to forget how grateful I was. Then I have to remind myself, it's Thanksgiving today. It's Thanksgiving. We should be giving thanks every single moment of the day. We should be realizing what our eyes are doing for us, what our ears are doing for us, what our nose is doing for us, what our sense of touch is doing for us. Our heart, which science has no explanation for, has electric power to power us to do 50 or 60 or 80 beats per minute. And that's what keeps us alive. And our breath keeps us alive. And what would you be if not for your breath? What would you be if not for your heartbeat? You wouldn't be around very long. So let's just realize what happened. Satan lured her into sin. He made it seem like it was the only option. One sin led to another until her entire life was destroyed and she's depressed. And this is why so many people have anxiety and depression. It's really their soul in conflict. It's really their soul knowing they should do things God's way, but they're doing things Satan's way. It's a cry out for goodness. The goodness is trying to get out. The anxiety and depression is really a good thing. There's a saying that the addiction is not the problem. The addiction is the solution. It's the way people are trying to get out of the problem. So let's say he'd gone to ideally a Chabad house, Chabad locator. Find a Chabad house near you. Let's say you go to the Chabad house and meet with the rabbi and ask them for help to find a job. You would find something that would make you feel proud inside. You would wind up with happiness. You would feel stable. And this woman is not stable. She's depressed. She's crying all the time. You wouldn't need that. You wouldn't need drugs. There would be no regret. There would be the high that you were on before when you were acting like a good person. You would have faith in God that he'll provide you with the money in a kosher way. Faith is key to this. You would keep looking through those wanted ads and not give up. not give up on resigning yourself to a life of sin, which is a life of destruction. We must learn a lesson from everything that we see. That's part of what the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidic philosophy, taught. And we know exactly what they're doing. We know that they're brainwashing us into a satanic mindset. They're showing you a satanic progression and convincing you that all will work out in the end. So you should take the satanic path as well. Never forget what's Satan's motive, and never forget what's his motto. Indulge in the now and give up eternity. That's what hell is. You ever wonder what is hell all about? If your hell is in this world, like it was with Jennifer Love Hewitt, with the media totally exposing her, then the sin is redeemed and you don't have to go through any hell because you went through the hell in this world. You lost your husband, you lost your kids, you lost your reputation in the media. That's hell in this world. But if you don't go through hell in this world, you have to go through it in the next world. Because giving up, going for the now, indulging in the now, always leads to pain in eternity. So in the eternal world, the world of the next world, you will have eternal pain. And I don't mean this to scare you. This is not the motivation you should have for doing good. You should do good because God says so. You should do good because good makes you feel good. Get a high off of goodness. There is a high you can get off of goodness. And if you really get into gratitude, that's one key towards having the humility necessary to feel the presence of God in your soul, in your heart, in your mouth, in your life. So may we all get the high off of goodness and reject Satan's path and bring the Messiah immediately. God bless.